It's daily experience again. Holy Spirit, please help me to articulate what you want to say of this story. Nowadays, I took up a habit of do 10 minutes of exercises before going into bed. And usually I play worship, and I have no reason, I don't know why. I put a very soft music as a background music for workout. But yeah, all of a sudden I felt like Holy Spirit is highlighting a part of this song, and He's going to speak something. I just know that feeling when He is about to use a song to tell me something. So that's what happened. I felt like God was telling me, I'm talking to you about the ascension. I would like to talk to you about rapture. And I knew that it wasn't the stereotypical idea of rapture. But it was about how He's drawing people to Himself. But it can be in connection with the traditional view of rapture as well. So, I don't know whether you have ever seen a field with flowers, and when the seeds of these flowers are filling the air because they are so light that the wind takes them up, and they are just floating in the air. There are like many plants in Hungary who have that kind of seeds, this little white fluffy thing, milkweed, for example, has typically that kind of seed. When it's ripe, it's white and it's floating in the air. And I was like, I saw a very blue sky and a great field, and I saw this milkweed seeds floating in the air, but just very few of them, just 2 or 3. And for a long time, there were just a very few of them. And it was hard to find them in the blue sky because there was just so little number of them floating. And then there begin to get even always more of them. So somehow some other seeds added to them. And there were like numerous little seeds floating. And then it just increased and multiplied. And as the time was going, the multiplication happened always faster. And that was a breakthrough point when it was hard to find a spot in the sky where you couldn't see these white fluffy things, and it just filled the air, and the whole sky was full of them, and there were like tornadoes formed from these weeds, these seeds, and they were united and separated and coming together, and then go a different way, and there was a swirling and stirring in this floating of these seeds, and all of a sudden I felt like I'm there, like I am one of these seeds that is floating in the air, and that has been taken up. And as I was floating, I enjoyed it. It wasn't a fast thing, and it wasn't like going up straight. It was just playing in the air and floating back and forth. And I really enjoyed that. And all of a sudden, I found myself on the ground again. It wasn't like I fell on the ground. It wasn't like I was told that I should go back. I just found myself there. And then I went back again. I enjoyed floating, and then I went back again. And it happened many times. And then I asked the Lord, why do I find myself on the ground over and over again? And He told me that everything that is light enough and detached enough will float, will taken up by my wind. And then He reminded me of this, how these little seeds get into the air. So it's like it is attached to the plant throughout the whole spring and summer. It is inside of this flower, and it is heavy, so it couldn't float before. And it is attached to the plant. The plant is attached to the ground and through its roots. So it is just so clinging to the earth. It cannot be taken up by wind. Even if there is a wind, it won't be taken up because it's too heavy for that, and it is too attached to the earth to be taken up. And that's what God told me. You are too heavy. You are too heavy to be in the air for a long time. You have so many things that connects you to the earth. There's so many heavy thoughts and ideas and strongholds that keep you down, and just get rid of them. Be light. And if you are light, I can assure you the wind is going to take you up. And I know that in these last days it's gonna happen. There will be so many God lovers who let go of all earthly connections, who let go of all the weights on their soul, and who will be automatically, without any effort, taken up to be with Him. And that's what happens with these little seeds. They don't do anything. They are just light, and they are just detached, and everything else is done by the wind. That's how He wants to use us. Who are those who are floating like the clouds? There is a Bible verse in the Psalms. I know that this is this generation. We will be floating with Him. And I don't know what rapture means, and I think it means a lot. But one part of that is this story, being light enough to be taken up to be with Him.